Just a quick intro. I'm Sean T. I've been an SE with Nutanix for a little over 6 years. I've been familiar with the product a couple of years before that too, and so I'm very passionate about this product. I always like to tell customers that this is the product that I wanted when I was doing your job. When I was doing the work, this is what I wanted, and so that's why I'm here so long, because I really believe in this product. But I only have to the top of the hour with the hard stop, so I'm going to go a little bit quick. If we need to redo anything or dig deeper into something, we can always have follow up meetings and answer any questions towards the end of this call. But as Cappy said, I'm just going to jump right in and show a move demo. And I'm actually going to do it two ways. The first way is I'm going to use the API. If you're not familiar with our API, if you go to nutanix.dev, we have published API references here. And it's just a REST-based API. And for Move, there's a Move specific one. There's also one for Prism and Prism Central. But everything that I'm going to do in here is in this document of our API. So this is the script that I'm running right here. And I'm not a professional coder. I wasn't professionally trained. It's all self-taught. So I'm sure there's a better way of storing credentials. I get that. But I just put in the move IP address, the source, which is actually a vCenter, and a destination, which is going to be an AHV cluster. And I'll show you more details about those clusters as we go along. And then there's some other variables, but the script is right here, and we can go into it later, and I'm happy to share this as well. But it's going to do everything that you're going to see me do manually as well. So we're going to go ahead and look at the move. This is the move appliance. It's just a VM. And this is exactly what it would look like for you if you deployed it, logged in, set the password, and this is what you would see. So I'm going to go ahead and start the script right there. Oh, not that one. Let's do that one. There we go. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a source, which is that ESXi cluster I talked about, and then it's going to create a destination. You can see it's doing that now. And then I'll refresh the screen here. It's the only time we're going to have to refresh the screen here. Everything else is going to start populating as this thing runs. But you can see it created this source, tells you information about this source. Now you could do these manually too, just by clicking add environment and choosing what you would like to put in here. It's really easy to do. But as it runs, it's going to create a test plan, add some VMs to that test plan, and it's going to give us the opportunity to start seeding. So this is our source environment. You can see I have a couple of groups of VMs in here. Customer VM 01 through 04 and US 01 through 04. And if you look in this script to the left here, you can see I'm kind of filtering using this store num. I wrote this for a customer just for them for retail environments, but so I use the same terminology, but I just combine customer and dash VM, and that's my query. And I'll show you what that looks like in the physical one when we do it manually as well. But it's just going to match these four VMs, and it's going to automatically create a test plan with those four VMs. So we can actually see that right here. And there's those VMs. So it found those four VMs. So as you can see, the script is saying, hey, you can stop this script. And, if you wanted to partition this script out into like 3 different stages, because there's really 3 different stages here. The first was just completed, and that's creating the source, creating the destination, and creating the test plan and validating the test plan. The second stage is going to be, do we want to start seeding? Seeding is the process of we're going to start taking snapshots on the source of those VMs, and we're going to replicate those or copy those over to the destination. And we're going to do that as an initial seeding. It's going to be a full snapshot. The VM that we're snapshotting is still going to be running. So these VMs are untouched at this point. We're not doing anything to them other than just taking snapshots. And you can see stuff in the background is happening down here. But while that runs, I just wanted to show you the destination. So this is our destination. This is an HV cluster, as you can see right here. Now, all my clusters that I'm going to show you today are just one node clusters in our, as you can see, there's one node in here, which isn't your typical environment. This is just a very pared down uh, lab type environment. So any red hearts or critical errors you see is really just complaining that I'm running on a single node cluster without setting it up as a single node cluster. So ignore all the red stuff for now. But we can go to the VMs over here and take a look and show you that here's what's running over here right now. Nothing too crazy. Just so a couple VMs, nothing special. But as we can see, and we click on this test plan, we can actually watch this automatic migration happening here. And it's seeding the data. Now, the data is just, like I said, just being replicated from the source over to the destination. And we're going to let that run while we look at some other stuff. Actually, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do some of this stuff manually too. So let's create our manual migration plan. So we're going to do everything that this script is doing, but we're going to do it manually. So we'll just leave it the default name. We're going to use the same source and the same provider. And we're going to say, hey, this is where we want to store our VMs. This container is on that destination, and you can create that. You can create it, whatever storage container you want to use, but you'll just provide that as part of the, so there's that default container as part of the plan here. So we'll hit next. Now remember how I said I'm filtering in my script off of customer-VM? Here's where you would do that. So instead of customer VM, I'm going to filter off US 0. And so I want these 4 VMs right here. And I'm going to add those to my test plan. And I'm just going to hit next here. Now on the networking side, I'm just going to do VM network. Now in this case, it's the same on both sides. It may not be, and you'll just do a source network so that's why VM network is not really a choice. I only have one network over there, but you would map the source network to your target network. If you had another network to do testing, a non-routable network, it actually says that right here, you can actually do some pre-cutover testing, and I'll get over to cutover and what that test would look like in a minute, but I don't have that. We're going to skip that for now. So it's just going to check my target cluster, make sure that we have capacity for it. And we're approaching 50% of our seed progress on the automated one. Okay. And so here's where the fun part begins is, okay, we can do automatic preparation. And when it says preparation, what we're doing is trying to prepare VMs to move over. There's certain things that you have to do to move VMs, and I can get into that and some of the restriction stuff in a moment. But in this particular case, I'm going to skip this and I'm going to do it manually, but I just want to show you some of the options that are available. If you have the same VLAN available on your source and your destination, you can do things like retain your static IP address. So you don't have to re-IP everything. You can retain MAC addresses. You can uninstall VMware tools automatically, right? All that type of stuff. In my case, I'm going to tell it that I manually prepared. And if you were going to do this, it actually gives you the command to run to manually prepare those VMs, what you would need to do to make sure that those VMs are correct, right? And so, and I lose some of those options because I do it manually. It's not going to do it for me automatically, so it's not an option anymore. And in this case, I'm just going to leave that checked. You can change individual VMs. So if you need to treat individual VMs differently than others, but you didn't want to create a separate migration plan for those, you could do that. You can even schedule your seeding of data. You know, that's kind of that second part of the script where it's seeding data. If you didn't want to do this during the middle of the day because of network congestion or anything like that, you could schedule that. For now, we're just going to leave that alone. Now it's going to validate our plan. This is going pretty quick. It's almost 90% over there. And so it just gives us a recap of our plan here. And I'm just going to save it. And now we can see here's our second plan. And we're almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one because it's going to start doing snapshots. So just so you can see what it looks like manually. And look, it already finished over here. So we can actually see this one. It's ready to cut over. So this is the third section, right, of this script, right? The cutover portion. You could write this in one big long script that does everything without asking any question, just goes and does it. But you could also break it up into three parts like this, or you can have three individual scripts so that whenever you, let's say you want to seed over the weekend and you don't want to cut over until the following weekend, you can do that. That's not a problem. We can leave this one in the state for up to a week, and actually, it's technically a little bit longer. It's not a problem, but you generally don't want to go over a couple of weeks, is what I'm told. But this is what it looks like. So whenever we're ready to cut over, we could do it manually. When we will do it manually on our other plan, but we're going to do this over here. I'm just going to hit yes over here, and while it runs, I'm going to tell you what it's doing. What it's actually going to do is it's going to, and this is the only portion that is impactful to your VMs. All the seeding and the plan preparation and everything that we've done before this part did not impact the VMs. But as we can see, once we start the cutover, what it's going to do is going to quiesce everything. Basically, it's going to shut down the VMs. It's going to take another snapshot. It's going to ship that snapshot so that any changes since the previous last snapshot and this snapshot are captured. It's going to ship those over to the destination. It's going to start creating those VM objects over here and turn them on. And so we'll actually be able to see that happen. Further, what it does to these VMs, and let's see if it's done it yet. Yeah, it has done it already. It'll put a note in every VM that was migrated telling everyone that sees the note that the VM was migrated by Nutanix move, the version number in case that's relevant later, the migration plan, as well as what time that happened. So that way people know, hey, why is this VM off? Oh, it was migrated. Well, guess what? What if someone didn't read that note and they just turned this VM on? Well, one of the things that we actually do is we'll actually go in here to the settings and we will tell the NIC not to connect at power on. So that if someone comes in and turns this VM on, well, if that VM was running over here, and let's see if it's running yet. Yeah, it's already running over here. If it was running over here, we wouldn't have any kind of a conflict, right? We don't want that. And so we disconnect those network adapters. So if someone does come back and turn them on, or in case you actually need to, let's say you just wanted to check something, you could turn this on and it won't get on the network, and you could jump into the VM console and do whatever you need to do for comparison or whatever you want. But that's what we do there. And as you can see, it's already finished and the cutover is completed. And you can see those VMs are over here and it powered them on and they're actually running. So again, that's the only impact as far as downtime, the amount of time to cut over. And you could see I talked through the whole thing. It didn't take too long to actually do those 4 VMs. And let's see how my other plan is doing here. So this one is seeding as well. And we'll keep an eye on that, but I just want to take a look at this over here. Now let's check on my manual plan. So yeah, so everyone's ready to cut over here. So let's cut these over. And oh, I want to talk about testing. So if I had set up a test network, I would be able to actually test the cutover here, and it would fire those VMs up on the destination, but they would be on that non-routable test network. That way I can get in here and I'd see them in the list, and I'd be able to open up the console like this, just launch that console, and get in and do whatever I need to do to test, right? So, but let's go ahead and kick this one off. Let's cut those over. So I'm just gonna keep working on the screen and showing the recovery plan. Do you have any questions while I poke around and show this stuff off?